Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrating the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! Welcome to yet another edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. I'm Blade Daly. It is Saturday or later as you're hearing this, but it is Friday currently, and I am joined once again by the one, the only, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the best Canadian pro wrestling podcaster in the history of pro wrestling podcasts, the one, the only, Joshi G. Joshi G, what's up? Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm back. I'm sure you missed me a lot, I Blade.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, Antoine kept me company, and I am much appreciative to Antoine for being such a great co-host last week. But I got a surprise for you.
Tell us.
Okay, I will.
Well,
we
what
are
are you waiting for? Well, you're just taking so long. Jeez.
Well, I was trying. You don't know. I might put a drum roll here in post. You didn't know that. We are joined this week by our longtime friend, Thrend, from Threads and now Blue Sky. The one, the only, Kristi, also known as BooksAndBodyslams. Kristi, welcome to Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out.
Thank you for having me. I feel honored.
Hi, Kristi.
We talked about this like a million years ago, and
Yes.
I'm so glad we have finally made it happen. Kristi, you are like a newer fan to pro wrestling than Joshi and I, because I'm old and Joshi has been watching since she was just a wee. Tell us about kind of how you got into wrestling, how long you've been watching wrestling, and what brought you into it.
Well, I used to think wrestling was stupid and fake.
Oh, wow. My feelings.
I know. Now I go after people who say that. It was about 7 years ago. I was dating someone who was very much into wrestling, and I was basically forced to watch it. And at some point, I surpassed him as a fan.
Wow.
He probably regrets it.
And were you guys watching like WWE? What were you watching?
Yeah, so I remember like when it was right before AEW started, and my first impression of AEW was the Kip Sabian Penelope Ford wedding.
Oh,
and I almost was like, I'm not watching this. This is stupid. Because I hate that type of, like, I hate that stuff. If only she could see me now. Because I wrote it off. I would just watch it passively. Like if it was in the background and he was watching it, like I would not watch it.
Right. Okay. So what did you really connect with first? Like what was the thing that kind of made you go like, maybe this is kind of cool?
Ooh. So there's three matches that have always stood out to me. And I don't remember the exact order. First, it was Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in the steel cage match. I remember thinking, ooh, women getting bloody. I love this. The Young Bucks, Lucha Bros, steel cage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
And sadly, that has now been replaced by another steel cage match. It's my favorite.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, same for me.
And then Stadium Stampede, the Elite versus Inner Circle. And
that was so good.
Yeah, the second Stadium Stampede. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. Having rewatched the first Stadium Stampede very recently, I was like, God damn, this was just a lot of fun. That was just it's so goofy. I mean, it's just such a goofy ass celebration of wrestling. So yeah, that makes sense to me. I can totally see why that would have brought somebody in.
Oh, and then we went to Grand Slam.
Oh,
the first
nice.
Grand Slam. And that Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega match.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's when the stand behavior started.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a lot to stand over in this particular episode of Sit Down, Shut Up. Because, my friends, when we come back, we're going to be talking all about AEW Revolution. This is no simple rundown of the events that happened, okay? No. You've already heard enough of that bullshit. We are bringing our expert and unique opinions for you to run your life by when we come back.
So, everyone, on Sunday, we had an AEW pay-per-view, AEW Revolution, which was absolutely fantastic. And we're going to go over the matches that stood out the most in a little bit. But I would just like to start by saying that it was really cool to see so many celebrities in attendance. A huge crowd, lots of celebrities, amazing fans throughout the show. I mean, they were loud the entire time. It felt like a huge party. And the celebrities that were there seemed to be having such a great time. The one that stood out to me the most was Leslie Jones, especially during the Swerve Ricochet match.
She made sure she stuck out.
Yeah, like she wanted to be part of the show. She was hilarious. She kept standing up and yelling things, very invested. Mm-hmm. And actually, it was pretty funny because they kept showing her. So at one point, I asked Joshi G if she was Prince Nana's mom or maybe Swerve's mom. And then Nigel says, "Oh, is that Prince Nana's mom or something?"
Oh my God.
Hilarious.
It was funny later because Nana took a picture with her and was like, "Me with my mom."
Yes.
that was pretty great.
And Ken Chung was there, and he's hilarious.
Yeah, Dr. Ken.
You want to fuck with me? Or fuck on me? Yeah.
Despite being a Duke fan.
Yes.
And
we had some actors from Righteous Gemstones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a show I want to watch.
It's a funny show.
Yeah.
Baby Billy. You would, you'd understand the context if you'd watched the show. But for those of you that know Righteous Gemstones, I'm sure you get the Baby Billy reference. But yeah, it was just such an amazing crowd, and it seemed like the celebrities really liked wrestling and wanted to be there.
Yeah, I think, I have so many memories of try-hard Vince McMahon trying to get celebrities to look like they wanted to be there from when I was a kid. Like, like Burt Reynolds would be at WrestleMania or some shit. And you could just tell this motherfucker got paid to be here, and he wants to get the hell out of here as quickly as possible. And there were a lot of people like that. There are a few that really embraced it, but everybody there looked like they were having a blast. The Righteous Gemstone folks looked like, man, they were having the time of their life. The Rizzler as OC, that was a ton of fun. Kristi, what do you think of all this?
So I've been very questioning the Rizzler and AJ, Big Boom AJ. And I think this was really the first time I actually watched them. Mm-hmm. I've kind of actively avoided them on the pre-show, whether it was cooking dinner or doing something during when they were on. Mm-hmm. I was so surprised and I had so much fun. Mm-hmm. And I am not a fan of Ken, despite because he went to Duke. And I'm a Tar Heel fan, so you had the hate is strong there. I loved every second of watching him, and I want him in the ring with Ricochet.
Yeah.
I'm with you. At first, I didn't understand why Tony Khan kept bringing these Costco guys back. I was like, okay, so they shop at Costco like everybody else. Why should I care about these guys? It's like this guy, what, his son? Is that his son? You know what I mean? I was so confused by the whole thing and why we should care. But they were a lot of fun on the pre-show. Mm-hmm. So I will give them that. And it is good to have these kind of acts that appeal to the children. So I try to keep things in perspective.
We sound so old.
I know, right? I'm ancient. I'm 60 years old, so
watching the Rizzler with Orange Cassidy though was a little heartwarming, and I was like, okay, Orange, don't do this. stop.
He got dressed. Rizzler dressed as OC got one of the biggest pops of the night. That was insane, the reaction. And I popped. Like, I was watching by myself, just chatting with people. And I popped when the Rizzler came out dressed as OC. It just felt like a celebration from the very beginning. And I thought that was super cool. This card wasn't all just a celebration with a bunch of celebrities, though. It was full of banger fucking matches. We are going to zero in on probably the three best matches because there's so much to say about each one of them. And this was a show filled, even, I don't give a shit about star ratings, okay? But like, there was 3 5-star matches on the show, according to Dave Meltzer, and they happened back to back to back. That's crazy enough. But there were so many 4-star matches on this show, and you just don't get shows like this that have that quality of wrestling. So this show, I think from an in-ring perspective, you could definitely consider it the best in-ring show ever, probably. There very well could be some debate about did they do enough story stuff to like make it the best show of all time? I do wonder about that. I'm going to let some time go by before I try to make up my mind, but goddamn, what a show. So some matches that stuck out besides the 3 we're going to talk about. Hangman and MJF started this off with a fucking banger. That was a really fun match. These two have unbelievable chemistry with each other. I'm a huge fan. MJF, kind of starting this whole like, it should have been me. Why do they love you? They should love me thing. It was great. It started it off perfect from the jump. And I thought, the action between these two was very fast paced. It was very, very, very focused on brawling and just beating each other up. Sometimes I feel like people who hate each other, like kind of like get too preoccupied with arm bars and shit like that. And these guys didn't do that. They just lit each other up. Joshi, what do you think?
I thought it was a great match to open up the show. I was very surprised, actually, that MJF lost. Not that I was convinced that Hangman would win or anything, but I just figured MJF's probably going to win that one. And he didn't. So this is not over. This is obviously a rivalry that's going to continue. But I would say what stood out to me the most in the match was when MJF had his nervous breakdown.
Yes.
Because I just like that we're seeing this insecure side to him. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that he says he doesn't understand why the fans have forgiven Hangman, but not him. And I get it in a way, but in another way, Hangman doesn't attack the fans. He doesn't insult the fans. MJF does. He's always belittling the fans, throwing gum at them. So in a way, you kind of want to shake MJF and say, dude, but you treat the fans like crap.
Right.
Hangman, I feel maybe he did mention the fans here and there, but I didn't really feel he was directly insulting them in any way. I never felt like Hangman was insulting me, whereas with MJF, he's made so many terrible comments about, people's salaries, about women as we know it, of course, Kristi, right? We can relate to that. So, I mean, Hangman's never stooped down to that level. So it is a little bit surprising that he's so caught off guard that the fans still respect Hangman. He's just so delusional. Right. Kristi, what do you think?
I find it funny that one of AEW's longest storylines is is MJF and his insecurity.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the first time it's come up.
No.
I mean, I'm with you. I don't understand how MJF doesn't get the crowd doesn't. He literally calls himself a scumbag, and then it's like, why doesn't the crowd love me?
Right.
You insult us. And as a Westchester girl, I'm very insulted when he starts talking about how great Long Island is. Mm-hmm. We have Long Island and Westchester have rivalries.
A rivalry, yes. Long and storied rivalry.
We don't like each other.
So in the match, obviously, and more was to come on Dynamite, they definitely kind of revealed how MJF is guided by these insecurities, and we'll get into the Dynamite portion of it a little later. But Hangman wins clean.
Mm-hmm.
This match kind of reminded me in a way of Jay White versus Hangman, except the roles are reversed, you know? Hangman's Jay and MJF is Hangman, and it's just the beginning of something that will continue. But it just got the show started off on the right note.
Yeah. It's going to be an ongoing feud, I think, for years to come with those two, because they have great chemistry together, and I'm really hoping for best out of 3 right now, when we get to see it again come Double or Nothing or Dynasty.
Me too.
I think there's more to come, like in the very immediate future for these two. The next match was the actual next match, and that was Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe. Holy fucking shit! These two beat the living fuck out of each other. You two, Kristi? What do you think of this?
Mercedes is constantly surprising me with the length she's willing to go to, and knowing she has a bruised larynx and just taking those kicks, and she is proving every single time she gets into a ring why she's getting paid what she is. I really love watching her with Stardom talent. I think she really shines with the Stardom talent, so I'm really hoping for more. Tony, please give me a Stardom AEW crossover. That's all I want. Mercedes can headline main event. Just give it to me. I mean, they beat. I sat there going, I don't think another women's match could top this. Well, you know, I was wrong.
Joshi.
So I felt the same way as Kristi when I was watching it. I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
They hit each other so freaking hard. Momo got injured, during that match. She was walking on crutches, actually.
Yeah.
And Mercedes had a bruised larynx. So, yeah, they were killing each other in that ring, and I absolutely loved it. So like Kristi, I thought, well, I don't think another women's match is going to top this one. And of course it did. But it's just, like Kristi said, Mercedes gels so well with Stardom talent, with Joshi's in general, and I want a Stardom AEW crossover show so freaking badly. You know, it's just, when you put Mercedes in the ring with Joshi's, she's even more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about Mercedes is that in her matches, she's always doing something new. She's so innovative. She's so creative. And Momo was excellent. She is such a great wrestler, very young, has such an amazing future ahead of her.
She's 24.
She's only 24.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Momo's 24.
And she put on that performance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Sign her now. Give her all the money.
Yeah.
I know. It's just, it's kind of like what ROH and CMLL are doing right now. I really want AEW and Stardom to do that at some point.
Yep.
So yeah, it was spectacular, and so much love for Mercedes Moné. As you know, I Blade, she's one of my favorites ever. And honestly, I feel this is the best she's ever been in wrestling.
100%. I don't think Sasha Banks, as good as she was as Sasha Banks, I don't think she was ever being 100% herself. And this is Mercedes at 100% the peak of her power. And Tony Khan has made her feel so secure in doing that. You can just tell. I mean, I don't know the lady. I don't want to speak for her too much. I don't have a whole lot more to say about this match that you two haven't already said, but this was a war. It was treated like a war, and fantastic wrestling match. Yeah, I have nothing but praise for Mercedes. You know, I think she took a while to settle into AEW, but she's there. I mean, she's just there. The matches with Statlander, the match with Anna Jay, the match in New Japan and California. This match, I mean, it just keeps going, and Mercedes just keeps growing as a competitor. So I have nothing but praise for her. Just what a leader, she's an innovator. It's exactly the way, her legacy, what she wants it to be. She's creating it right now.
you can tell not being tied down to one particular style is doing her wonders.
Absolutely.
I agree, because she can do it all. She's really great at the high flying stuff, but she's also a very good mat wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she could be very grounded in the ring. She loves her submission holds as well. She can do it all. And honestly, I was really impressed that she spoke on Dynamite. Must have been really painful for her to talk with a bruised larynx. She shows up to work. She talks. She's just such an incredible wrestler, and she puts wrestling first, man. Like, you could tell that wrestling is her passion.
Yeah.
Bless you, Kristi.
Thank you. When you watch her blog, like her vlogs, when she did the Wrestle Dynasty blog, I felt it. Like, I was crying for her when she won over Mina. Like, I was like, that's it. Like, you have a fan for life. That's it.
Yep. She was in a marquee match in the Tokyo Dome, you know. She's a lifer, and she's a real one. She is pro wrestling, and she's a legend, and she's only cementing that legacy more and more with every match. Mina was a match I left out. I didn't even remember to mention that. Interestingly enough, the next match we're going to talk about was the next match, and that was Swerve versus Ricochet. Meltzer, I believe, gave this like something like 4 3/4. I mean, he almost gave it 5.
Yeah.
It's that good. I mean, it could have gone 5. I wouldn't have even blinked. Like, this was a fucking great match. Awesome story that they were telling. You know, they tell the story of Nana's already frustrated about his robe.
Mm-hmm.
Nana is Swerve pushes him down when he tries to pull Swerve off, because Nana's just like, get back in the ring, boss, win the match, you know? Pushes him down. You see Nana go, what the hell? You know, and is it just me, or is this Prince Nana like kind of oddly wholesome in his own way, where he's like, you know, like he could have said like, what the fuck? But he was just like, what the hell, man? Like,
yes.
He looked genuinely hurt.
I was hurt.
My heart broke.
Yeah. I was so sad.
And so we end up with Ricochet kind of getting the better of Swerve in a lot of this match, because Swerve's emotionally distracted. Nana at one point walks. So after he gets pushed down, Nana walks out. And this crowd and all of us, I think, are a little heartbroken. The crowd, there's some people like booing, and then there's some people just like, what is happening here? Right? They're just heartbroken. And Swerve ends up, you know, making a comeback. The chemistry between Ricochet and Swerve is unbelievable. And I don't want to talk about the whole match myself. Kristi.
I never thought anything would top Hangman and Swerve until Ricochet came in. And what a great program to really start Ricochet on and kind of prove people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been fantastic to watch. And you almost don't want it to end.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just, like, again, their chemistry. Like, you almost believe they actually hate each other out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because they work so well together. I just hope it turns him into more of a dick. So.
Well, it certainly seemed that way on Dynamite, which again we'll get to. Joshi, what were your thoughts? Like, tell us about the rest of the match. Why don't you?
I thought it was an excellent match. I mean, the Prince Nana drama really got me on an emotional level. Mm-hmm. So eventually, he did come back out. And I'm trying to remember now because I haven't watched it since Sunday. But he did come back out. Ricochet was attempting to do something to win the match. And I recall Prince Nana stopped him or something like that. And then Swerve does end up winning the match. Remind me, Eyeblade, it was the Swerve Stomp. And then he did the...
JML Driver.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's now the big pressure or whatever.
That's it. The big pressure. That's what I was looking for. So he ends up winning the match, and he gets on one knee, and he gives Nana his robe back, which I thought was so nice. So now that Swerve won the match, he is the number 1 contender for the AEW World Championship.
Yeah.
So I really want Swerve to beat Moxley for the title. Swerve needs the gold again.
Yeah. I thought what was cool about this match was it played off their segment from Wrestle Dream, which I remember very well because I was there. And at Wrestle Dream, the thing was, is Swerve going to turn on Nana and join the Hurt Syndicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Swerve was kind of big league in Nana. He's like, well, you are kind of erratic and you are kind of this. And this time, what I thought was so cool was Swerve got down on his knee and presented the robe to Nana. Like, I am loyal to you. You are my family. And I thought it was Swerve showing some humility, which his character isn't known for. And that was really cool. That was just really cool to see. Nana starts doing the dance. You know, things are kind of cool between them. And onward we go. I think the results of this match kind of told you a lot about how the main event was going to go. So there was a little foreshadowing there, but we will get to that later. But I think we should probably hit the music because we're about to deep dive into 3 matches that blew our motherfucking minds at Revolution in just a sec.
All right, guys. So, one of the best matches of the night, without a doubt, was Toni Storm versus Mariah May in the Hollywood ending match. So, first of all, big applause. These 2 ladies, for the first time ever, got a 5-star rating from Dave Meltzer, the first women's match to have received 5 stars from Meltzer outside of Japan. Now, listen, I get it. You know, some wrestling fans take Meltzer's star ratings very seriously. Some wrestling fans don't care about his opinions. At the end of the day, the wrestlers, for the most part, do care. So we do have to acknowledge it. And we do have to give them both a lot of props. Very deserving. Like, listen, Dave Meltzer has never given a women's match outside of Japan a 5-star rating. And back in the 90s, the GOAT, Manami Toyota, she got a lot of 5 stars, and with good reason. And then the most recent one, prior to Revolution, was Shiri Utami from Stardom. Very well deserved as well.
Yeah.
But we were all wondering, when are women outside of Japan going to get 5 stars already? And it finally happened. And, you know, I couldn't be more happy. That was match of the night, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
They only had almost 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And they did so much with that time. Everything about that match was perfect from start to finish. I mean, guys, Mariah May hit Toni Storm with a champagne bottle to the vagina.
We had a vagina attack in the match. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
With a champagne bottle. Yeah.
Yes, I've never seen this in my life. They were using a lot of glass. I was actually pretty scared there.
Jesus Christ. Well,
yeah.
and with at one point the match becomes a fucking type A death match.
Yes.
They put the fists with the tape, and I love how they're taping it. And Mariah, she is always going to be a little underrated in this whole thing, okay? Because her character is a little more subtle than Tony's, right?
Mm-hmm.
But her facial expression in that moment where she sees Tony putting on the tape and she's like, oh shit, we're doing this. Like, and then she puts her fist in and she screams. It feels so real. The movie quality, like, I hate the word cinema when it comes to wrestling, but guys, this was as close as it's ever going to get. Like,
it was cinema.
It was cinema. This was a fucking masterpiece. I'm sorry, Joshi, but goddamn, like, fuck.
Well, also, Toni Storm puts, she beats Mariah May with the same heel that Mariah May had used on Toni Storm last year. And so when she took the heel and she beat Mariah up with it, and then she she did a stormtrooper. Was it Stormtrooper? No, I'm thinking of Star Wars. Um,
Storm Driver.
Storm Driver, when she did the Storm Driver on the table, like to Mariah May, and they're just both laying on the ground together, and Tony, gets close to her, and on screen you see the end. It was just so fitting. Kristi, give me your thoughts.
Well, we all know this is a hill I'm going to die on. This is the best story in all of wrestling. I don't know how
100%.
anything is going to top it. I think RJ City deserves his All Elite graphic now for coming up with this whole story. Tony and Mariah deserve Oscars and everything, because it's just been incredible. And to see these women give it all the way they have for the last year or so has just been almost inspiring to watch as a woman, to watch like women give it their all, and then to get the first 5-star match in North America. If they didn't, I was gonna go personally yell at Meltzer myself, because it's story of the year. It's been probably story of the decade. Like, these two women deserve everything that they're gonna get, and I think really hope we see Mariah May do something just as incredible now. Tony's a star no matter what.
Yeah.
But Mariah deserves as much roses as Tony, because she
was
crushed
perfect. Yeah.
Well, and what's crazy about Mariah May, she's been in AEW for a little bit over a year. And for her to reach that level, that top level, and to be in a rivalry with someone who's been around for a while now, Tony Storm, and to be able to give us this amazing storyline and already have one of the best matches that we've ever seen, that says a lot about Mariah May.
I was gonna say, I remember when you guys were all talking about her, hyping her up, I was like, all right, she's 25. Like,
yeah,
y'all are insane. She's 25, maybe 26 now, and she's putting on these caliber matches.
And she's telling these stories. I mean, that's the thing, is like,
yeah,
I can't even think of one forgettable segment between them. I can't even think, not in a year and a half, I can't think of one. Like, this is how good this was. It is my favorite wrestling story ever told. I would say Hangman and Swerve is real close. Kenny and Hangman is real close. I would also say Brett and Austin is really close. I think that's my favorite story ever told in WWE. And there's a few others that would be way up there, but this is the best. There will never be another one like it. I just don't think it's possible. It's the most offbeat, weirdest story ever, with the weirdest characters ever. All of the people in the story are completely out of their fucking minds, and in the most unhinged, loony way. And you kind of end up loving them all. And what I love is that shot at the end of the match where Tony is like resting her head on Mariah's bosom, right? Head, bosom, now, you know, that stuff. And she's resting because she doesn't want it to be over,
No.
And then you see the clip from right after the match where Tony goes, I miss her already. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I don't want it to end, but I do, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's one of those things where they did make the right decision to end it, because it would have dragged on if it had continued. However, I guess what I'm a little bit concerned about is, now that Tony and Mariah are going their separate ways, I just hope that people don't have expectations that are a little bit too high. Like, let's say Tony Storm has a rivalry with Megan Bayne, and the storytelling isn't as good as it was with Mariah and Tony or whatnot, or Mercedes and whoever. I just don't want fans to be too hard on the woman moving forward, because the expectation now is well, they have to be as good as Tony and Mariah. Like, that's the storytelling that we deserve from now on, because that was very special. And I'm not saying that there won't be another feud or storyline in the women's division that will be as good, or I just hope we have realistic expectations, though. That's my main concern, because, like, let's say, you know, in Tony Storm's next feud, people are, you know, comparing the story to Tony's and Mariah's. Well, then they're going to be let down, and you know what I mean? So I am a little bit worried about that.
I was gonna say it was a once in a lifetime feud, and people need to remember that.
Yeah.
Right. And see that for the magnificence that it was, not everything else is something lesser. But I think I would remind you all, from the minute the Timeless character began, my question was always, how long can she keep this up?
Mm-hmm.
Because every promo, for like the first 3 or 4 months of that character, every promo she would give, I'd be like, where is this going to stall out? Where is this going to start to get old? How can she keep topping herself? But she did. And she kept topping herself. And I think that we're having these concerns, because I have them too, don't get me wrong, is a sign of how good this truly is. And Tony has proven to us, and Mariah has proven to us, that they are bigger than just each other. Tony had that awesome promos with Deanna from last year, where, remember, with the tattoo and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this woman can work with anybody. And she's the greatest in the world at this moment in time. Toni Storm is the greatest. And I'm not talking about the greatest woman. I'm not talking about, she's the greatest. In my opinion, that is the case. We got to move on, because there's so much more to talk about. But holy shit, this was the match of the night. It's one of my favorite matches of all time. I'm serious. And I'm so glad that Dave Meltzer, like, fucking at least gave them the acknowledgement, because I do know it does. You're right, Joshi. It does mean a lot to a lot of people. But ladies, I'm going to have to turn this one over to you, because holy shit, we are all fangirls here of this next match. We are all Kenny stans. Yes. I believe Kenny Omega is all of our goats.
Yes.
Kenny is the one male wrestler I might be in love with myself, but Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita, also rated 5 stars by Dave Meltzer. It came immediately after Tony and Mariah. Mm-hmm. Insane. Ladies, Kenny's a champion again. He's a singles champion. How are we feeling?
Cloud 9. I love seeing gold on that man.
It looks good on him.
It does. Gold is a very good color on Kenny Omega. And honestly, I'm just happy to see him still put on these matches and to that caliber, because going through what he did, even if he just came into the ring to be a manager, I would have been happy. So I bow down. Mm-hmm. He is my god of wrestling. Just Tony, give him more gold.
Yeah. Joshi.
Well, first off, I was shocked that Kenny Takeshita came right after Tony Mariah, because I was still processing Tony Mariah.
Yeah.
And when I saw that Takeshita Kenny was next, I said, oh my God, like, can't I even, like, have 2 seconds to breathe here? Like, I need 2 seconds. It felt unfair. So I was just like, oh my God, man, like, okay, let's freaking go. So I thought the match was fabulous. I think it got a good 30 minutes, or at least very close to that.
Very close, yeah.
And I felt like it never dragged on. There was always something happening, and those two were just hitting each other so hard. And Kenny looked fantastic. I think it's his best match since his match with Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Kingdom. And as for the result, I mean, Kenny Omega with gold is a requirement. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, after everything he's done for professional wrestling, after everything he has gone through, what his body has gone through, I mean, we didn't have him for a good year because he had all those terrible injuries back in 2022. And I remember that was really tough. He came back. Stupid crap happened. He got suspended, which still bothers me because he didn't deserve that. Yeah. And then he's back and things, everything's fine. And then he gets really sick, and it was just such a bummer. And of course, last year there were a lot of questions. Is Kenny ever going to come back? And if he does, will he be the same kind of wrestler? And for him to overcome all that and to still be able to put on these amazing matches, how can you not put gold on him? And the thing is, even on Dynamite, he still praised Takeshita. He's just one of those wrestlers that always gives 100% and just has so much respect for other wrestlers. I never hear him insult anybody. He always puts others over. I just, I love him, I Blade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure he called Gabe Kidd a glory hole.
Okay, yeah. Gabe Kidd, yes. Gabe Kidd, yes, and Gabe Kidd deserved it because he was insulting
That's true.
Everybody in AEW. That is true.
That's true.
So, but
he said he wouldn't know Gabe from a glory hole in the wall. Yeah.
But Kenny doesn't tend to start shit with other wrestlers. Gabe Kidd likes to do that. But yeah, it's just so good to see him with gold again.
Sorry, I had another thought that I just thought of, and I don't know who to give credit to, but I think I saw this somewhere online. Someone said Kenny couldn't get the One Wing Angel on him because he's truly scared. He's scared that Takeshita is going to be the first one. He's going to be the second one to kick out of the One Wing Angel.
Mm.
Yeah, I saw something similar where somebody was like, he's worried that the move can't do it anymore, like that he can't hit it the same way and that somebody might kick out of it. I knew going in, Kenny is going to put us through a nightmare where he is going to sell his gut for the entire fucking match.
Which he
did. The man ends up getting a gourd buster on a table that is not even flat. Okay, on a hard edge right on his gut. I love Don Callis and his pro wrestling bullshit putting over, oh, well, what Kenny had cut out of him is how it processes nutrients. So he can't really process. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And that his intestines were going to explode any moment.
Yeah, oh my God. How long until your guts explode, Kenny?
Yeah.
But this match was about Takeshita's dominance and about Kenny selling for the vast majority of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny very smartly is figuring out how to slow down, not do as many moves, but make all of them very big. And Kenny's signature spot is not the one-winged angel. It's not a V-trigger. It's the kick out at one. Because when he kicks out at one, this crowd lost their shit. That was the biggest they ever got the whole night, probably. Mm-hmm. It's when Kenny kicked out on one. And it was fucking awesome. I fucking started it's like his Hogan, like hulking up thing, He's like, enough of this shit, but he gets the win just by out wrestling Takeshita and just surviving Takeshita. And Kenny's even putting him over after the match. Takeshita and Callis are walking in the back. Kenny's still laying flat on his back in the ring. He's got the belt kind of laying next to him, and he just barely gets up and he holds it up for everybody. What a fucking moment. What a fucking match. Kenny Omega is the greatest. He reminds me so much of Bret Hart in his sincerity as a wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
Which was even magnified on Dynamite, which we'll get to. But I just thought it was a great match. It went as long as it should have. Don Callis has been great in this. I think this was a good capper as well to the Kenny Callis story, where I didn't like how they did the Kenny Callis story in 2023 because it felt very disjointed. Like there was the Callis heel turn, and that was great. But the Callis family never had the same lineup. Takeshita was the only constant. And there was just all these distractions, like Sammy joined the group and then he's not in the group. And then, because he got injured or whatever. And Then Kenny gets hurt, and he's teaming with Jericho for some reason. Like, what the fuck is happening?
That was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Golden Jets.
Yeah.
I will always be able to say I was in the building for the first Golden Jets match, and
lucky you.
Yeah, that's something to brag about. But this was the way to follow that up, because when Takeshita beat Kenny, the other frustrating part was there was no follow-up. There was no follow-up with Takeshita. He was like off TV for months after that. So I think this was a corrective measure to kind of like Tony doesn't like just leaving a loose thread. So this is a great way to separate Kenny from Dawn and start moving on. And same thing with Mariah and Tony. Like, time to move on. Let's get moving. Amazing match. Amazing. Joshi?
So we have another 5-star match.
That followed this one, yeah.
Yeah, that followed that one. Mr. William Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage. So that match was absolutely incredible.
Fuck.
Oh my god. And by the way, Bully Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, but did this match not take place in a steel cage, or were we watching something different? Anyway, yeah, like I like that they were always in the cage. And when you thought that Ospreay had Fletcher pinned, he would kick out. And I was there like pulling my hair, like, oh my god, he kicked out? This match is still happening? It was just so freaking insane. The hatred between those two, oh my god, like Kyle Fletcher, he's very convincing with his Will Ospreay hatred. Jeez, like when he looked at Will and he said, I hate you, I fucking hate you. I was like, dude, calm down, man. Like, you guys were really good friends. What happened here? So of course the craziest part of that match was when they're both climbing like to the very top of the cage, and freaking Ospreay, being a maniac, decides to do a Spanish fly. Like, dude, what are you doing? I got so scared. That freaked me out so much. Oh my god. Like, of course, Will Ospreay, your missus was not happy with you. So it's just like to go all the way up to the steel cage and do a Spanish fly and land, in the ring. That was just absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like that in my life. It was, I don't have enough great things to say about it. And as for Kyle Fletcher, like, guys, I can't believe how much he has progressed. This guy is a star now. I mean, imagine maybe a year and a half ago, we kept questioning when Mark Davis would come back and he'd be reunited with his tag team partner and they'd go for tag team gold. And things have really changed since then. He's a singles guy now. And do we even put him back with Mark Davis? I don't know. Like, do you even bother at this point? It's like he's proven that he's so darn good. And like, it's crazy to me because as good as Will Ospreay is, Fletcher can get to that level. Like, he is so close.
He's getting there now. Yeah.
He's getting there now. So, I don't know. With Aussie Open, is that finished? And I forgot to mention that Mark Davis did interfere. But Blade, feel free to answer my question and to get into that part.
Well, I think that Aussie Open may reunite, but I think it's under very different conditions, which is they've shown they're not partners anymore. Kyle's like his boss, and Kyle is a ruthless bastard who doesn't give a shit about Davis anymore. Kyle doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself, right?
Right.
Kyle, last year, I believe, was pretty close to the time that he won the ROH TV title.
Yes, correct.
And that was cool. I was like, that's great. He's like getting set up for, to be a significant wrestler. That's great. But he was still an underdog in any kind of big marquee singles match. The minute they flipped the switch on that heel turn, this kid was ready for it, and he is all over the place exploding with it. He has had incredible matches with Okada. He's had incredible matches with Mark Briscoe, 2 incredible matches with Mark Briscoe. He had 3 insanely good matches with Will Ospreay, including one where he won pretty much clean. And then he looks like a guy who should win the world title or the international title. I want to see Fletcher versus Kenny. I want to see Fletcher. I mean, I could run down a list of people I want to see him fight. Fletcher versus Hangman, Fletcher versus Swerve. Give me those matches because he's on that level now.
And what's crazy, iBlade and Kristi, is that for years we would talk about who the pillars of AEW were and the young wrestlers that would be the most successful. Mm-hmm. And then, that kept changing. At some point, people were saying, it should be Hook and it should be Ricky Starks, Saints now when he was in AEW. But my goodness, I'm not going to lie, guys. And Kristi, I want to know your opinion in a minute, but I think Fletcher has surpassed a lot of these young guys.
Yeah.
Kristi, go ahead.
Well, we all know my thoughts on certain people. And Kyle Fletcher is so much better than some of those people. Mm-hmm. I still can't get over some of the storytelling in that match. Mm-hmm. The screwdriver coming out, the ending with the tiger driver. Like, what a way to kind of like bookend that whole Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher stuff with Will Ospreay than him ending the match with what caused Don Callis to turn on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a great observation, by the way. I think that there were so many matches that had great storytelling. Stories told in the ring that were masterfully done. Like Kenny and Takeshita had a lot of that too. A lot of throwbacks to their previous encounters. Tony and Mariah.
Oh, yeah.
They had all the props, all the stuff from that entire story was present in that match. And Swerve and Ricochet, and, I probably just said that. I'm getting old, guys. But just a masterful match. Ospreay with the decisive win and showing more heart than Fletcher, but Fletcher showed it was very close. And Ospreay wins by a hair. Also, big shout out for the Os cutter off the side of the cage. That was badass.
It was.
But yeah, Kristi, great point. The screwdriver stuff, that was excellent. And then he hit Ospreay in the ribs with it, and holy shit, that was crazy. It's like we're watching somebody fucking try to kill someone.
Yeah.
And don't forget the thumbtacks to a certain spot.
Oh my god.
Oh, yes.
Styles clash onto the
That was
tack.
insane.
He took a dick tack. Oh,
Sky Blue, take care of your men.
Yeah, if you can. I was like, are we watching a live castration here? What the fuck?
Jeez.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So we got to talk about it a little bit, and I don't want to spend too much time because the show is so packed, and we still have more to talk about. The main event. There was a lot of controversy about the main event, and I think some of it deserved and some of it a little overblown. Cope versus Mox. Let's just say it. It was a match entirely about the ending. I think it was too long. It was close to 30 minutes long. Didn't need to be. But coming after the cage match, it felt glacial. It just, like, fucking Jesus Christ. It felt like watching paint dry. And that's not an indictment of either of these guys. They're both great. I know what they were trying to do is, hey, you just saw maybe the best cage match of all time. Let's bring the crowd way down so that we can bring them back up. It kind of worked, but it took too long to get there. I think this match needed 10 minutes shaved off of it. If it had been 15 minutes and the ending, I think it's a very different match. But it just took a long time to get out of first gear. And I think the Hollywood ending should have been where this was. If you had literally just swapped those two matches in the placement, the reception to both would have been much better. Now, I know Tony, in my mind, Tony doesn't want to do that because it feels like it gives away the ending of Cope versus Mox. Like, if it's not the main event, Cope's not going to win, right? But that's not a good enough reason in this case, I don't think. Like, they had a fine match. It was fine. It was more of a WWE style match, but it was still very good, very solid. There was a lot of laying around. And after the show, we had just seen people are tired. The crowd was tired. And this didn't help. I mean, they brought us down too much. You know what I mean? This shouldn't be like taking like a fucking sleeping pill. What did y'all think?
I just think the whole pacing was off. Tony and Mariah should have main evented, but I'm not going to harp on that. How I've been looking at it right now is when you look at the other matches compared to Mox and Cope, you kind of see the vision of the Death Riders coming true. Mm-hmm. Mox and the Death Riders have forced every single person on that roster to fight and bleed. Mm-hmm. And when was the last time Mox bled?
Right. Good point. Good point.
So if you look at it that way, I feel less offended by it because I'm like, well, but if I was the booker, that would be the story I was going with. But I'm not.
You're like, that's the excuse I'd be making. Yeah, if I was in that position.
Look, Moxley setting off he's achieving what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Look at this. Everyone bled but him.
That's true.
That's just how I would have. That's what I would have had Moxley say on Wednesday instead of what he did say. So,
Joshi.
I'll be perfectly honest. It was boring, and it was long. It was so long. Like, I don't understand why the main event needed 30 minutes. We got 3 5-star matches, one after another. There was no way that main event was going to be 5 stars. No way. So just give them like 15 minutes. And also, I'm not the biggest fan of so many interferences during a match. And of course there were many. And I feel this is a recurring thing with the Death Riders, and honestly, it's getting old. I'm getting bored with it. I was really happy that after Mox retained, Swerve pretty much jumped him, because this needs to change. I really want Swerve to dethrone Moxley. It needs to happen soon. I just don't think that this repetitive stuff that happens in these Death Riders matches is interesting, and I'm sorry, but for me, we're really still trying to figure out whose side Wheeler Yuta's on. Come on, man. Like, this isn't that interesting. I'm sorry. It's boring now. It's like he already turned on Danielson, and we've seen him conflicted, sure, but he's had this loyalty to Moxley for whatever reason. There was no way he was going to turn on Moxley on Sunday, and for some reason, I don't know, did they expect us to be like, oh my god, Wheeler Yuta's going to turn on Moxley? I'm not interested in this. It's like, Wheeler Yuta, we get it, he's brainwashed, okay, fine, whatever. But, don't give him that much in a main event match. Like, why was that so important? I would have preferred something else, but, whatever. It's okay. Unfortunately, the problem with the main event was that, listen, when you watch a pay-per-view, what's the last thing that people remember? It's the main event. So moving forward, I do think Tony needs to be a little bit more careful because, okay, fine. I get it. Jon Moxley's the AEW World Champion. I get it. You don't want the result of the match to be predictable. Was anyone really questioning Mox retaining?
Yes, they were.
Right?
Yes, they were.
Okay, well then I don't know because
they were.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm just being honest. They actually were. Like, I saw a lot of people predicting Cope was going to win for some reason. I wasn't questioning it.
Right. Well, I thought it was really obvious.
I did too.
And also, Tony and Mariah deserve that spot. They have the best story in the company. I don't care that Moxley's the AEW World Champion. Tony's the AEW Women's World Champion. They're both world champions in my opinion. She's deserving to main event too. This is the best freaking story that AEW has ever told. There was no reason to not put them in the main event. Tony Khan, grow some freaking balls and don't be hesitant when it comes to women anymore. Enough now.
Mic drop.
Yeah, that's a mic drop. I feel kind of pathetic even talking after that. But the what I would say is this did accomplish some things that I thought were good. The Money in the Bank thing is gone.
Yes.
Tony,
finally.
Listen to me. Fuck you and fuck that. I don't want this in AEW. That's not the way people should win titles. I don't like it. Okay?
No.
Also, you don't want to be seen as copying WWE. That was a straight up lift, and I didn't like it from the jump. I know it would have made sense for Christian to be the guy who did it, but what happens the next time? Are you going to do this again?
it's just not a way you should ever let your world title change hands. And that's a WWE thing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Keep it there. I'm glad that's gone. I liked Christian, so we didn't even say, Christian cashed in his title shot in the middle of this match, turned into a triple threat. Looked like for a minute he was going to pin Cope. Moxley got a hold of Christian and choked him. And Christian tried to put his hand on Cope. I thought that was kind of clever, because Cope's like knocked out. And Christian puts his hand on Cope to try and get a 3 count while he's being choked out. I thought that was kind of clever. But Moxley chokes Christian out and wins the match. And Swerve comes out to Prince Nana comes out to confront Moxley as he's walking to the back. The crowd's booing, and Swerve jumps out of the rafters. Swerve stomps Moxley and a shitload of security guards. If I sound distracted right now, it's because I'm looking at an adorable dog. So just bear with us. But we do have an adorable dog in our midst, and that's very distracting. So they're telling you, they clearly anticipated some kickback to this, some pushback on this. I think they underestimated it, to be honest, because, people were unhappy. I didn't think it was the right way to end the show either. So I think Tony this was the moment to have this, the world title, the men's world title, not main event, and have the women's world title main event. But whatever. At the end of the day, Cope didn't win. Cope's out of the world title picture. Christian's out of the world title picture. Swerve is challenging Moxley. He looks like he could win the title. I'm not sure if he will, because somebody presented a scenario that leaves it open to him, maybe not. That sounds kind of plausible to me.
You know what else I wasn't crazy about? Like, okay, I get it. You want Christian Cage to finally cash it in and whatnot. But what was the purpose of Christian getting pinned? So Cope would be protected? I didn't really like that. That was another thing I had a problem with, actually.
I think they had this rematch in mind that they're doing next week on Dynamite. And I think that was the only way to justify the rematch would be if Cope didn't take the pin.
Yeah, true. Now that we know that there's a rematch, fine. Yeah. I was just kind of like, okay, so Christian, not only does he not get to beat Cope and win the belt, he also gets pinned, the poor guy. He just came across as a freaking loser.
Yeah, but that's Christian, and he's not bummed about that. He has no problem with that. Like, this dude's making a bunch of money. He's a featured act, and he's pathetic. That's his character.
I agree. It just, at that time, last Sunday, it bothered me.
I laughed,
I'm a huge
honestly.
Christian fan. I laughed too, but Joshi G and I were like, what a loser, I mean, it's true.
If he wasn't a legend, it would have buried him for sure.
Okay, yes,
I will absolutely grant you that. But we got to talk about Dynamite because Joshi has to go. All right, so music, please. And we're back. All right, Kristi, Joshi, we've gone through all the feelings together. Okay.
Yes.
So many beautiful things. But we also had Dynamite this week. AEW just wasted fucking no time whatsoever being like, okay, that was Revolution. All right. Mm-hmm. But we got Dynasty now, bitch. So we just started moving in that direction pretty much right away. And we kick it off with Kenny Omega coming out, looking beautiful in his beautiful belt.
He's so beautiful. Anyways,
so beautiful.
These two women right now, you don't see it, folks, but they're both nodding with their eyes closed like, oh my God, he's so sexy. It looks good on him. The belt looks good on him. You gotta admit.
It does. Gold suits him.
A fan tried to give him roses and shit, and he was like, can you give it to security? Like, and I'll take it in the back.
Aww.
He was just feeling the love. It was awesome. They're doing a international title tournament, a small tournament. The winner gets a shot at Kenny at Revolution or at Dynasty. And I love this. I love where they're going with this. The matches are Orange Cassidy versus Hechicero, a wild card opponent versus Beast Mordos, Katsuyori Shibata versus Ricochet on Collision. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's going to be great.
And Mark Briscoe versus Mark Davis in a battle of the marks, you dumb Mark. So Results real quick. OC beat Hechicero in an awesome match. I loved this match. It was fucking badass. I love Hechicero.
I do too. That's why I don't want to see him lose all the time. Damn it.
It's okay. It's
not okay. Maybe it's okay for you.
He's going to be fine.
It's not okay for me. Okay. I love Hedge.
I'm telling you, it should be okay for you. How about that?
Okay, first of all, real quickly, why doesn't CMLL make him the face of their freaking company?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
He is so darn good.
He's a badass.
He is. Sorry, go on, Nightblade.
So Orange Cassidy beats him in a squeaker. Okay, Orange survives. Orange is fully back in like, yeah, I don't care anymore. I'm a babyface.
Yes.
Like, he's no longer troubled or vexed. He's like, whatever. You beat it out of me. That was a great match. I thought anytime you put Orange Cassidy in a moment like this, like he always shows why he's in the position he's in because he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Kristi, what do you think?
Hill I'll die on. Orange Cassidy is one of the best wrestlers out there.
Absolutely.
And it was a great match.
Yeah.
But the athleticism it takes to do some of those lazy moves.
For sure.
Yeah. What was that? He did a roll up with his hands in his pockets at one point. Like, how the fuck do you even think of that? What?
He even does that little like flip up thing.
Yeah.
Like with no hands, like propelling him.
I don't think Orange Cassidy needs hands. That's not established at this point. He doesn't need hands.
He could be a handless wrestler, and he'd be just fine.
Can. Seriously.
He'd be the only one. He'd be the only one. Then this wild card match happens with Beast Mordos. A lot of people think maybe it's Jack Perry. That was not the right answer. I thought it was going to be Jack Perry because him and Kenny kind of have this outstanding thing, right? No. We had to settle for Speedball Mike Bailey.
Excuse me. First of all,
settle.
Okay. I knew it was going to be Mike Bailey, so you're just silly, Eyeblade, for predicting that it was Jack Perry, okay? No.
I also said Jack Perry.
No, Kristi, that's okay. I'm just calling Eyeblade out because he says mean things about Speedball. So can I talk about this quickly?
You sure can.
So Mike Bailey is my fellow Montrealer.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him at many indie events in Montreal. I've spoken to him a few times. Super nice guy. Mm-hmm. He is so nice. He is such a terrific wrestler. He likes my stuff on Instagram sometimes. Like, he's my boy. So it was just so freaking cool to see him come out and for the fans to chant Speedball. And I loved when Excalibur said that he's from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I was like, woohoo! Because that's where I'm from. But I just feel like he fits in so well in AEW. Like, he's perfect for AEW. And I can't wait to see him wrestle Kenny and Ospreay and Takeshita again and Fletcher and just everybody. And, maybe he could go to New Japan for a little bit. He is so deserving, guys. I couldn't be happier. Like, Joshi G and I were going insane on Wednesday, and we just kept saying Speedball all night. So happy to have you in AEW, Speedball Mike Bailey. Don't listen to Eyeblade. He hates Canadians, so.
I do. Okay, I don't hate Canadians. Just Speedball's a nice person, and he comes across very nice in his promos. And he could try to sound a little meaner. That's all I'm saying.
You say such strange things sometimes.
So you're saying he's too Canadian?
Yeah, he's Canadian, and he sounds super like positive and nice in his promos. And sometimes you need, like, if you're going to feud with somebody, what are you going to do? Sound like super chipper and upbeat? Like, can't wait to go kill my rival today.
He doesn't talk like that.
You son of a bitch! You
he doesn't
doggone it.
He doesn't even talk like that. What are you saying?
Like, that's kind of how it comes across.
Who talks like that?
Speedball.
Anyway, no, he doesn't. That is not true. He actually kind of sounds like maybe a little bit like Justin Trudeau. So you hate Justin Trudeau too?
I don't. Well, certainly not by comparison to the person running our country.
No, I don't. Let's not talk about Justin.
Canada, I love you. Let me live in you, Canada. I will take back everything I said immediately. Grant me citizenship.
Team Canada.
Team Canada all the way.
Yeah, I'm Team Canada. I never liked that South Park shit. So, this is the best match on the show by a long by a long stretch. This was
Thank you. So
amazing.
take back everything you said about Mike Bailey right now, or else we're not moving on.
If Canada grants me citizenship, I will take it back.
We don't want Americans right now.
Well, then I don't want to take back what I said
I'm
because
just kidding.
everything I said about Canada is true.
I would gladly take you and Kristi, but Blade, you can't ever say that Mike Bailey is too nice ever again.
Well, I'm going to say it. So anyway, the winners of these respective matches, we have Ricochet versus Shibata at Collision and Mark Briscoe versus Mark Davis on Collision in the Battle of the Supermarks. The winners of these matches face each other on Dynamite in a four-way match, and I believe that four-way match will be, hang in there with me, Orange Cassidy versus Mike Bailey versus Ricochet versus Mark Briscoe. That's your main event of Dynamite next week. Holy fucking balls. That's going to be fucking ball-tastic. That's going to be amazing.
Imagine if Bailey wins and we get Bailey versus Omega at Wrestle Dynasty, Canadian versus Canadian. It's Montreal versus Winnipeg.
I just don't want Bailey to lose so soon. I'd rather see
neither.
Ricochet get his butt kicked by...
Yeah.
Mike Bailey can't lose right away, right? Like, although he will lose to Kenny if he wins, but
Yeah.
still better than,
Here's the thing.
Don't have, like, Ricochet pin Orange. Like, have someone...
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to get pinned to lose. So there's always that.
Yeah.
I would love to see Kenny versus any of these people. Kenny versus Briscoe, never seen it. That would be awesome. Because I think Mark Briscoe's actually as good as he's ever been right now. Kenny versus Orange Cassidy, singles. Has that ever happened? It happened in a triple threat with Pac.
Yeah, it was a triple threat.
Kenny versus Mike Bailey. I'm sure that's probably happened at some point, but it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny versus Ricochet. Are you fucking kidding me? So those are all very possible outcomes.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. We also got a little segment with Mercedes and one Billy Starks backstage.
Mm-hmm.
Billy is a terrible promo.
She
is a horrible actress, and I'm glad they're helping her. They're having her work on it because she's actually better than she was, because she was the worst promo I think I've ever seen at one point.
Whoa.
Wow. That bad. Like, we're talking Ultimate Warrior bad, but in a very different way. She just looks like she's going to laugh every time she's doing a promo. And
it is true. I have noticed that.
She looks like she's trying not to smile the whole time.
Yeah.
It's okay, Billy. You'll get there.
It's okay. He insulted Mike Bailey too, so.
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I'm just throwing it. So now, like, are like the people of fucking Tennessee going to rise up against me now? Go ahead. I got a whole country against me. Or the 51st state, whatever. Anyway, so.
Hey, stop.
So, match is set for next week. Billy Starks is going to face Mercedes Moné. Kristi, how are we feeling about this?
I mean, I know where it's going, so it makes me excited. Because I think that's also going to lead to, I think, the story we've all been waiting for since her debut into AEW. So, very excited.
We got a fallen goddess about to fall into AEW Dynamite.
Well, question for both of you. Does Athena show up next week?
Yes.
I think
there's
she
a
will.
very good chance, but I think honestly that match should main event.
Main event.
If
not, Tony's getting his freaking ass kicked.
Yeah, you heard it, Con. You heard it, Con. Damn you, Con. Speaking of women and asses, Tony Storm has a really big butt, and it's a beautiful big butt. And her big butt got big kicked by Megan Bayne at the end of yet another incredible promo. I love that Tony is kind of like, they do the black and white thing, but it's kind of like Daniel Garcia's dance now. It's like he does it for a second, so everybody will stop telling him to do it. But then it turns color, and the rest of it's in color. And I like that Tony's that's kind of how they're showing the progression of Tony's character. And anyway, I love that she said, I'm a world champion. The other world title's in a bloody suitcase.
But she's right.
Yeah, no, she's like calling it out. She talks about the belt collector being Mercedes, she talks about the other belts, and then just, says, like, I'll take on anyone, and Megan Bayne just shows up and wallops her. So I'm very stoked to see where this is going. Megan Bain's just got to like fuck everybody. Like, just Ollie, fuck off. Go ahead, Joshi.
So, listen, I really like Tony Storm's promo. I like Megan Bain.
Yeah.
However, I think this feud is a bit too early on here. I'm not going to lie. I was actually really surprised that they decided to put Megan in this situation right now. Don't get me wrong. She's awesome and she's only going to do more amazing things, but I don't think she should lose because she is going to lose against Tony. She's not beating Tony Storm. I just don't see that happening. I just don't want Megan Bain to lose so soon. That's my big concern here. I think I think this is too soon. It's just my opinion.
Every time I have assumed anything about AEW over the last 6 months or so, I've almost always been wrong. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, do they just Brock Lesnar Megan and have her literally win the world title like 3 months in?
I don't know.
I think it's possible. It's a possibility. But I also think this could go a lot of other directions because Megan once again made her presence known later in this show with Willow and Chris Statlander. So
yeah,
she's kind of not done with them either. So I wonder if they'll do another 4-way match to determine who faces Tony at Dynasty. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Ospreay gives a promo. He talks about how he's in the doghouse with the missus because of his cage antics. But he says in no uncertain terms he wants to win the world title, and where would it make the most sense to win it is at All In Texas, at Y'all In. And he just very clearly stares at the All In sign as if you didn't understand what he was talking about. But he's entering the Owen Hart tournament. They then interview Jay White backstage, who applauds Will and says, hey, maybe we should face each other sometime in the near future like we have in the past, because they've had some banger matches in the past.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see that match. But it sounds like Jay was very heavily alluding to entering the Owen as well. I think the Owen is going to be fucking crazy stacked, and I can't wait. I just can't wait. Takeshita murdered Max Caster, which was really funny. Max Caster's becoming one of my very favorite parts of AEW right now. He's just hilarious.
I hate it.
I hate how much I love it. It's so funny.
He is hilarious, though.
He just gets killed. I mean, I love that he calls himself the best wrestler alive and gets crushed because it's playing into all the things people say about Max Caster, that he's a delusional asshole. And somebody comes out and gives us that catharsis every week and just murders him. At some point, it's got to be Bowens, right?
Well, yeah. What kills me the most about Max Caster is that freaking certificate.
Yes.
That's what cracks me up. Just because you have a certificate that says you're the best wrestler in the world, you expect everybody to believe that. It's just so stupid, but it works.
I love that he also interrupts the crowd. Like when they start chanting, he just goes, stop. Like, please,
I
stop.
love that too.
You're going to get me killed. Stop it.
Stop. And thank you for your concern.
Thank you for your concern. That was
so good. Thank you for your concern.
It's very good stuff. You got to give him that.
Absolutely.
He's very good at this. I get serious, like I said, honky tonk man type vibes from Max Caster. He's just entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho pulled some serious shit during the pre-show. It's the best thing he's done in at least a year. With Gravity, where he was supposed to face Gravity, but he just hits him in the face with a bat instead. Gravity's parents were mom and sister were ringside. Bandito runs out. Jericho brutalizes Gravity, steals his mask, embarrasses him in front of his entire family. I thought that was great on the pre-show. And then Jericho cutting this promo on Dynamite, I also thought it was great. Jericho just being an old dick is way better than anything else he's done. And now you want Bandito to really beat him. I think it's been worth the wait. And I think Bandito's definitely beating Jericho sometime in the near future. Do you have any thoughts to share on that? Kristi?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Bandito.
Okay.
I hope he just goes out there and beats Chris Jericho to a living pulp.
Yes.
And Chris Jericho's off TV for a while.
Yes, me too.
Same here. That's exactly what I want.
Okay, well, let's get to the main event of Dynamite. It wasn't the actual main event, but it's the most significant thing that happened. MJF's cutting a promo. He's talking about what an asshole the crowd is. When whose music should hit, we hurt people. And MVP comes out. They hug each other. He talks about what a special and unique human being Max is. And Max is actually smiling. He's actually looks genuinely like happy. Like probably happier than I've ever seen him in a ring before. Mm-hmm. And he essentially says, you know, you should join the Hurt Syndicate, like, and hurt some people because you're pathetic right now and you're embarrassing yourself. MJF tells him to fuck off. And MVP is like, I wouldn't be so sure of that. And then gives him the card again and Max takes it. Is Max joining the Hurt Syndicate? I believe he is. Who saw this coming?
I definitely didn't.
Not me.
Absolutely not.
That was shocking.
That's some divine inspiration booking right there. Because can you imagine Max with the Hurt Syndicate behind him? Max with God. Lashley and Shelton backing him up. Then he bumps into Hangman just after that. And it's clear that they're not done. I don't think Max is losing next time. Okay?
No.
So I wonder if Swerve's beating Moxley. It'll be interesting. But we got to go. We got to get the fuck out of here. But we're going to leave you with that. MVP, MJF, were fucking awesome in the ring together. MVP has been absolutely crushing it in this run. He's one of the best on the mic in the entire business. Mm-hmm. I want to see them teamed up. Like, yes. Yum. Get me. Kristi, let's plug you real quick before we go. Where can the people find you?
I am everywhere at Books and Body Slams. Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch.
Books and Body Slams. No spaces, no special punctuation, just how it sounds, people. Joshi, it's nice to have you back.
Thank you. And Kristi, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was an absolute pleasure.
I feel honored.
We will have you back.
Of course.
You've been indoctrinated into the cult, and now you can speak with the cult whenever you want. Yeah. But that's it for now. I'm Blade Daily.
I'm Joshi G.
And I'm Books and Body Slams.
Pro wrestling forever. Get the hell out of here, John!